Well, hello everybody, and Merry Christmas to y'all. It is G Bear at G Bear's Off Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert, looking over at where the clouds are coming in, and it looks like there's some rain already dropping up there. Um, you can see that the weathers are starting to move in, and it was supposed to be delayed, but it looks like it backed up, recouped, and threw it in four-wheel drive to get here because it's on its way. And you can see that the sky is looking pretty dark and ominous. So anyway, today I got a little special episode, so stick with me because this is important. This is real important, not only to off-gridders, but to those of you who are thinking about putting in a wood-burning stove in your house. Okay, there's some things that you really have to pay attention to. All right, so we're going to start here in my container where I have my homemade potbelly stove. Let's turn on some lights down there that you've already seen. But I want to get back here because we're going to talk about something. Talk about safety. All right, safety. One of the things in this chipping container, this whole section, starting from way back there, all the way up, is a big steel plate. So I don't worry about anything, any ashes getting down onto floors or carpeting or anything like that and starting a fire. But just in case, I also put a metal tray I had underneath there and an old metal pan to catch ashes that actually fall out the bottom, just so they don't blow around and get to different places. Now, this was I think this is a 40-pound tank, 220s type stacked together. So it was a pretty good unit, but it was a really old one, and nobody would fill it anymore because of that. So I cut it open, and I made this neat little potbelly stove out of it. And it does a nice job. It keeps you warm in here, but I wouldn't want to live in this container with the steel walls and the steel floor in sub-freezing temperatures. So anyway, what we're going to talk about here, stovepipes. All right. And we're going to start here, and then I'm going to show you what I have also in my cabin. But this is single-walled pipe. And the reason I use single-wall pipe here is because this is a metal container. Okay? Now, these things will get very hot. So if you touch them, you'll get burnt. And this is heat-resistant tape. You can't just use regular tape on there. It's got to be one that says heat resistant. Okay, so I came up and I went out the wall with this. And that was the best way to do it here without having to worry about going through the roof and then sealing it. It's easier to seal a wall than it is to seal a roof. So this goes out, and this is all single wall. Now, if this was a wall that had actually wood in it or something like that, or even just drywall on wood, the drywall itself is not really flammable, but the paper on the drywall is. And then if you have paint on that, of course, the paint is flammable. Latex paint is flammable when dry, not when wet. So anyway, you would want to make sure that you have something fire resistant or fireproof behind it and under it. And if you're on a budget and it's only going to be temporary until you build, what was really recommended if you're inside with a wooden floor is a sandbox underneath the unit, going out 12 inches at least on each side, and with 2 inches of sand in the bottom. And that would be ideal to catch any hot ash that fell out of this thing onto the floor to keep it from burning your place down. All right, now, for most instances, inside of a cabin or something, you would want a flue in here. And why a flue? Well, flue does two things. It helps control the speed of the burn and how much heat is going out your chimney. And also, when you are not in use, when it's shut off, you close the flue so that critters can't come in from the outside and get down into your cabin or whatever. All right, so keep those things in mind. And let's move on, and we'll get to the next step of this, because those clouds are looking pretty eerie out there. And that means that there's a storm across the valley, clouds are rolling in, and the afternoon is heavy on my shoulders. Oh, well, anyway, it's not that heavy. It's actually nice and warm out here, considering, but I'd say that's the calm before the storm. All right, so next step is we're coming out here, and if you're wondering what this black pipe is, when I was metal detecting out here, I found a coupler to my water line that runs from the water tank down to the cabin, where I switched from 1 inch to 3/4 inch right here. And I figured, why not? I'll put a marker there so I know where it is next time. And yes, I did fill the pipe at least up to ground level with dirt so that cold air doesn't go down in there and freeze that fitting. All right, so this is where I came out with that unit. And you can see the discoloration. You see how hot these things get. All right. And that's one reason why, in a flammable situation, you would not use single-walled pipe like this, stovepipe like this. You would use what they call B-vent. And B-vent is a double walled, it has two walls of pipe to it. The inside being a little bit smaller than the outside, so it still fits together in the same way, but all of your hot gases and smoke and exhaust and that stuff travel through the inside pipe, and there's an air gap between that inside pipe and the outside layer of pipe, so that it will get warm, but it won't get super hot to the touch where it'll cause a fire if something touched it. Now, this is not in the best situation outside here. I should have B-vent out here also, because there are things like bushes and flammables around here, and if that thing was cooking hot and a branch broke off of one of the bushes in a high wind and came over and stuck behind there, that could catch fire. But this is all steel container, so only the branch would burn. There wouldn't be anything else that could burn there. But you know, better to err on the side of safety rather than not. I very seldom use this, and when I do, I'm never out here in high winds or anything like that. So it's just when I'm working in my shop on an inclement weather day like raining or something like that. So I don't care if the pot belly is running and the pipe gets hot, because of course it's raining. Now, at the top, and you want to make sure when you do this, you go a couple of feet above the roof of whatever you're doing, and not near a window or anything like that. You want to be up higher than your dwelling, so that the smoke and that stuff doesn't go back into your living space or your interior. That is called a spark arrestor and weather cap. Okay, so that keeps rain and snow and that stuff from being able to come down inside of it. And it also has a wire mesh inside to catch any embers that would go up there, and they won't be able to get out. They're going to be trapped inside there, so it's not a fire hazard with sparks flying across the desert or the forest or wherever you live. Okay, so you do want to make sure you put one of those on the top of your pipe. Now, this is 4-inch pipe, and that's what you would standardly use for a wood burner. Although some of the bigger burners, like a let's say a Franklin stove, you might be up into the 6-inch range on the exhaust pipes on those, because there's a lot of room in there to burn wood, and they get really hot. Now, on my cabin, up on the roof, you see I've got another one of the spark arrestors and weather cap on a piece of 4-inch. Now that 4-inch over there is B-vent, because that is from my tankless water heater in the cabin, and that burns pretty hot when it's heating my water. And it does go through walls and ceilings and the roof, all of which are flammable. So let's go inside and get a quick look at this. And by the way, Fed Excuses again texted me, said my package is out for delivery. Now remember, this package was shipped to me from the East Coast on December 6th, right? I got my Nokta pinpointer, the waterproof pinpointer, and I'll go into that to another video. But I got that today, and that came from the East Coast, and it was only ordered 4 days ago. So, but that came USPS, not fed up. All right. So anyway, this is B-vent. All right. And you can see it's a little thicker down here because this is an outer wall, and the inner wall is actually what's connected to the exhaust pipe on the unit. And this again is heat resistant tape, metal tape. And you can find that stuff at most of your big box stores. Okay, so this goes up and it goes through the wall. Now you see that extra ring around the outside. Okay, that's a fire shield, a collar. And what that is, it keeps all the way around the pipe that's going through the inside. It keeps it 1.5 inches away from anything flammable inside the wall. Now this wall is really safe to me because inside this wall is metal stud. It's all metal stud, and all it has is drywall on both sides. But I do have a piece of wood for a top molding up there, so I put that extra heat shield there to protect that from getting anything on it. So that's about 2.5 inches away right there, and that's plenty to keep that from causing a fire problem. Of course, I've been running it for 5.5 years, going on the 6th year without any problems, and there's not even any darkness up there from it. So we come around here into the bat room. Holy showers, Batman. Anyway, here's where it comes through the wall, and I've got another plate on this side. Now that's the kind of plate that Jeff and Cricket's going to be needing to go through the wall, through a window where they put a piece of plywood or OSB in to temporarily run a wood-burning stove. He could use a piece of metal like that. And you buy those at Home Depot. Now, somebody was trying to sell him one online for $39, okay, for that piece of metal. You can buy that already at Home Depot, and I think that was only $2 and change, under $3. So it's not expensive. Okay, so this comes through and goes up through this the ceiling here, and I've got another one of those collars on there to keep the heat away from the ceiling. And then when it goes up through the roof, there's a larger hole in the plywood to keep it 3 inches away from the roofing sheathing. And then on top of that, there's a flashing that goes over the top and is sealed with sealant. And don't use tar because tar will burn. So you want to use a fireproof sealant where it comes out through the roof. But that would be basically what Jeff and Cricket would do, is put that piece, cut a very large opening with 2 inches on all sides around so the pipe goes through that, and then fasten that with screws to the plywood so that you've got a fire protection there. And if you're using B-vent, you'll be much better off than using single-walled piping. And you can buy all that stuff at any one of the big box stores, so it's not hard to find. All right, that's all I really have for today, everybody. I wanted to cover that, make sure Jeff and Cricket got the information out. And I'll be doing another episode on this pulse dive. The reason I went with this is because my other pinpointer, my Garrett Pro here, it works, but the problem is I get interference through my Nokta metal detector from this unit. And they did put a feature in the Nokta Simplex where you can just hit one button and mute it so you don't have to deal with that. But I like, when I'm digging, I like to take the plastic scoop full of stuff out of the hole and run it back and forth over the coil of the metal detector to see if I've got it in my scoop or not. I know I can do it with a pinpointer, but I've done it the other way all my years. So I'll still keep this pinpointer for use with my other metal detectors. But this one actually is made by Nokta. It's 100% waterproof, not down to like 200 meters. And this little end on it will come off, and you can put a coil on it for diving, for going underwater. And it came with its own neat little pouch and a lanyard and extra seals and all kinds of neat stuff, and a digging shovel. The digging shovel was a throw-in gift. So, but this is what the diving part looks like that you can put on the end to go metal detecting underwater. All right, everybody, that's all I have for today. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget your thumbs ups down there. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and all that neat stuff. Even download and save if you want. This is G Bear signing off.